Story 1. I was working my usual shift, tending the bar. It was just another typical night, lots of people chatting, laughter filling the air. I was used to all kinds of customers, from the overly enthusiastic to the quiet and reserved. But that night would be different, something I'd never expect. Out of nowhere, a guy walked up to the bar with a slightly tense look on his face, the kind of person you can tell isn't comfortable but is trying to play it cool. He asked, "Hey, do you know where Pamela is?" I froze for a second. The name sounded familiar, but not in the way he probably thought. I responded, a bit confused, "Sorry, what was that?" He repeated himself, this time with a bit more urgency, "Pamela, do you know where she is?" My mind started racing, trying to connect the dots. We had hired a new kitchen staff member named Pamela, and I was standing there, wondering if he was actually looking for her or if this was some weird coincidence. The look on his face, nervous but with a hint of urgency, made me think maybe he was a friend or even a family member of the Pamela in the kitchen. But something felt off. Before I could give him a clear answer, he blurted out, "Oh, right, cheers," and suddenly bolted toward the fire escape next to the bar. With a quick push, he threw open the door with the panic bar, and the entire place was instantly filled with the deafening sound of an alarm. I didn't know whether to chase after him or stay put, trying to figure out what had just happened. The manager came running over, asking what was going on, and I, still a bit shaken, tried to explain what had just unfolded before my eyes. But as the alarm kept blaring and the chaos began to settle down, something clicked. Pamela. He wasn't looking for the Pamela from the kitchen. He was using a code, part of some system to escape a sketchy situation, something I'd vaguely heard of but never witnessed firsthand. That guy, in his quiet desperation, had come to the bar seeking help. Story 2. A few years ago, I found myself in one of the most surreal situations of my life. You know that feeling when you're living out a movie scene, but you're not the main character, just an impotent witness? Well, that's exactly how I felt that night. It all started innocently enough, a regular dinner with an old high school friend at a quiet neighborhood wine bar I frequented. The place was typically low-key, usually filled with middle-aged couples and retirees just looking for a relaxing evening, nothing too wild. But what was supposed to be a normal night quickly turned into something that left me absolutely stunned. She showed up at the bar more excited than usual. It had been a while since we'd seen each other, and I was looking forward to catching up. I had invited her to dinner along with a colleague of mine, a software engineer from Microsoft. He was the kind of laid-back, successful, low-key guy in his mid-40s who didn't go out much, and rarely dated, more by choice than lack of options. He was like a real-life Loki, soft-spoken, polite, always down for a nice dinner and light conversation after a long day of work. What he didn't expect, though, was what was about to go down with our guest. She was different. From the moment we started talking, I could tell something was off. She didn't seem like the person I knew from high school. First, she started ranting aggressively about heavy topics, how she hated religion, how she loved Krav Maga, and how no man would ever resist her again. At that point, I could feel things spiraling out of control. Still, I tried to stay calm, thinking maybe it was just the excitement of reconnecting after so many years. I didn't expect things to escalate so fast. The engineer, who had been trying his best to be as polite as possible, was clearly becoming uncomfortable. You could see it on his face, this wasn't the kind of intensity he was used to over a simple dinner. The conversation took such a weird turn that he excused himself to the bathroom. When he came back, his expression had completely changed. He went straight to the bar and ordered a safety drink, one of those discreet codes we use in bars to signal that we're in an uncomfortable or dangerous situation and need help exiting quietly. That's when I realized that what seemed like an awkward dinner was turning into something much more serious. He called for an Uber, and within 2 minutes, he was out of there. I stood there, unsure of what to do next, until I realized I had to let her know that the evening was over. That's when everything completely unraveled. Instead of handling it with maturity, my old friend flipped out. She knocked over the table, chairs went flying, and she started yelling uncontrollably about all the ways she was finally going to get laid. It turned into total chaos. I tried to calm her down, tried to get her to stop, but she was completely out of control. That's when the police were called, and the already chaotic situation escalated further. When the officers arrived, she was so violent that they had to use a taser to subdue her. Yes, she was tossed and arrested that night. I was in shock, completely at a loss for what to think. The person I had known for so many years was gone, or maybe she had just been hiding beneath layers of destructive behavior I'd never seen before. Later, I found out that her behavior that night was a rare adverse reaction to a combination of antidepressants and alcohol. As terrible as the situation was, it was a relief to know that she wasn't inherently a bad person, just someone going through a very tough time. In the end, the software engineer got out unscathed, and the whole ordeal served as a lesson for all of us. Sometimes, people around us are fighting battles we can't see, and it takes a watchful eye to recognize when something isn't right. That night left a lasting impact on me, not just because of the unexpected violence, but because of the realization that we never truly know what someone is going through. What seemed like just a casual dinner between old friends turned into a wake-up call to always be alert to the signs, and above all, to act with compassion, even in the most chaotic situations.
Check out the next video, where I share even more valuable tips to change your life. Leave a like, subscribe, and comment on your experiences. Your participation is essential for us to grow together. And don't forget, don't let the ghosts of your mind control you.